All right, we are doing writing trig functions given features. So we need to put everything together. Our general form is y equals the amplitude of, it's a cosine in this case, so we'll stick to cosine. Cosine and sine are all we're dealing with. B affects our period, x is our input, plus d. D is the phase shift on the x-axis, and then C is the phase shift on the y-axis. Let's go ahead and get out some formulas here. So the formula is amplitude. Amplitude is equal to the absolute value of A. And then it's important to note that negative A means it flips over x-axis. So it starts on the other side of the x-axis if A is negative. All right. What's B? B is our period. It's our period number. And the period number is P, the equation is P equals 2 pi over the absolute value of B. So that's going to give us our period. The phase shift on the D, so this is phase shift. On the x-axis. And the phase shift on the x-axis, this is going to be equal to negative D over absolute value of B. And then the last one is the phase shift on the y-axis. And this gives us our midline, which is the equation y equals whatever this value is. So that one's pretty straightforward. All right, so there's a lot of formulas that are kind of embedded inside of this, and we're going to be using some of these as we apply this. So let's go ahead and attack the problem. We have everything we need now. So we're asked to write cosine function that has a midline of 5, amplitude of 2, and a period of 8. All right, so all we do is we're going to take this generalized form and start filling things in. Well, let's just go in order of how they give it. The midline of 5. Which one of these is our midline? Well, that would be our C. Okay, we don't have to really do anything. That's just going to be a 5 right there when we plug it in. In fact, I'll just go ahead and write the general form. A cosine of bx plus d. All of this is in the parentheses set of cosine, and then plus c. All right, so right away we found out that c is 5. Okay. Amplitude of 2. Amplitude of 2, where does that go? All right, so that amplitude of 2, that gives us our a, right? So now we know the amplitude is 2. And then a period of 8. Well, B is inside our period equation. So let's go ahead and solve it. So the period is P equals 2 pi over the absolute value of B. So the absolute value, I'll just put B here for now, since our B is 8. So that's supposed to be a B, not an 8. All right, so if we plug things in, so this now implies that our period is equal to 2 pi over 8. Okay, and then we would just simplify this, which turns into 2 and 8 reduce out, and we got pi over 4. So the period tells us that it repeats itself every pi over 4. All right, and what does that mean? Let's see, that is... Oh, I plugged it in the wrong one. Sorry. So I plugged in 8 for B. We are looking for B. We got a period of 8, so sorry about that. I knew I was wrong because I didn't have B. I need B equals. So our period is 8, there we go, is equal to 2 pi over our B. All right, so now we need to solve. Let's see. The easiest way to kind of deal with these, I don't want to make it any harder than it needs to be. It's already kind of complicated, is we need to get B out of the bottom. It's trapped when it's in the bottom of a fraction. So I'll multiply both sides by B times B times B. Okay, the B's cancel. And now I have, I'll just move it in front, equals 2 pi. And let's see, then divide by 8. Divide by 8. And I get B equals pi over 4. Is that what I had last time? If I plugged in, yeah, so just happened to work out that way. But I got pi over 4 on this one. All right, so let's just plug everything in. That's our B. We got pi over 4. There. All right, let's see how we did. So let's just rewrite it one last time. Our f of x function, I don't want to just piece it out right here, is equal to 2 cosine of pi over 4 x. There's no phase shift on the x-axis, no phase shift on the x-axis, so that would be a plus 0. So we usually don't put plus 0. And then the last one, c is 5. Okay, so it's filling everything out for the generalized form. So 2 times cosine of pi over 4 x. X is what they're using, I think. Yes, X is right here, so that tells how it's pointing at the computer. X is our input, so that's going to be the input that we use here. And the last one is plus 5. Let's see how we did. All right, got it. So they're just kind of streamlining some of the things a little bit. It's really important, I think, to practice everything here, and that's kind of what the strategy I'll be using. I won't label it every time except for the things that we need from now on. And everything links together. Yep. And so we had to solve for the period. Everything else we plug in. Okay, good. All right, so I'll go ahead and start off with we are doing a cosine function again. So a cosine of b to the x plus d plus c. C is the y phase shift, D is the x phase shift, B helps us with the period, A is the amplitude. So we're asked to write a cosine function that has an amplitude of 2, midline of 5, and period of pi. So do you remember the period equation? The period is equal to 2 pi divided by that b value. And it's absolute value, but we'll deal with that when we have some negatives and do it as a case-by-case basis. So the period, they're telling us that the p is equal to pi. So I'd say pi equals 2 pi over b. I'll do my other trick, which is the reciprocal trick. So I flip both sides, 1 over pi equals b over 2 pi. What keeps b from being by itself? Divide by 2 pi. The opposite of divide is to multiply. Do it to both sides. And I get 2 pi over pi is equal to our b. These cancel. And then the pi's cancel, and I get b is equal to 2. All right. And so now I know b is 2, and there's no phase shift on the x, so d is 0. Plug everything in. 2 cosine 2x plus 5. All right, so it looks like the rest of them are going to be similar to this. See if the next one's any different. Okay, not too bad. We got a period of 3/5. Let me just go ahead and do that real quick. So P is equal to 2 pi over B. So we're solving for B here. I'm going to plug it in. We got 3/5 here for our period. 2 ways of doing it. The reciprocal way would work really well. I'll go ahead and do the other way, alternate back and forth. So we're going to go ahead and times by B to get it out of the bottom. And now I got 3B. We always multiply numbers to the top over 5 equals 2 pi. And we multiply by the reciprocal. So times 5 over 3. You can do it in steps if you want, but do it to both sides. So 5's cancel, 3's cancel. You're left with B equals 2 times 5 is 10 pi over 3. And that would be the B that we would put in. Okay. And then we'd do everything else the same.